Gero here for Umbra Games with a review of Alan Wake, played on Xbox 360, also available on PC. Alan Wake was developed by Remedy Entertainment, the company responsible for the older classics, Max Payne 1 and 2, Rockstar Studios actually developed the third, and more recent titles like Quantum Break on Xbox One and Control, recently revealed at E3 2018, coming to PS4 and Xbox One. Alan Wake is a writer who decides to take a little vacation with his wife Alice to a remote mountain town called Bright Springs. If you've ever watched Twin Peaks, I kinda got a similar vibe from this small town, as they're all preparing for this annual deer festival. The Wakes head up to Cauldron Lake, where they're planning on staying for the duration of their visit, when Alice goes missing, apparently sinking to the bottom of the lake into the darkness. Alan comes to a week later, mysteriously, in a crashed car. Nighttime is now plunged into shadow as Alan begins his journey to uncover the events of his missing week and Alice's whereabouts. Alan Wake has a third-person over-the-shoulder view, and light and darkness play a big part in this game. Alan often has access to various forms of flashlights and a handful of firearms, and every enemy you encounter will be shrouded in the palpable darkness. When Alan shines his light on enemies, a faint circle will appear showing how much they've been cleansed, and once the circle is completely contracted, the target can be shot with bullets. A push of the left trigger will make the flashlight surge brighter, quickening the purification process, but also draining your flashlight batteries. Guns are fired with the right trigger, and if you don't want to surge your flashlight while trying to aim more precisely, you put half pressure on that left trigger button to aim. Much like the survival horror genre of yesteryear, weapons are not unlimited, and well-placed shots and efficient use of ammo is pretty important. The core game takes place across 6 episodes, and often 1 or 2 times during an episode your weapon collection will be removed, forcing you to seek out armaments and ammo once again. The necessity of aiming is fairly liberal, as in you have a pretty wide targeting area that you can still hit your enemy. It goes outside even the flashlight beam just a little bit, but somehow popping enemies in the head was still very satisfying. Wake can sprint with the left shoulder button, and if you tap the button while in combat, he'll do a dodge move to avoid incoming damage, sometimes even with a slow motion effect. In the darkness, enemies can quickly pile up on you, which makes some of the consumables you pick up, like flares and flashbang grenades, important before you get overrun. The light and dark themes continue, as often on the road through the dark forests, a trail lamp will be the sign of a sanctuary and then function as a checkpoint. While running from enemies often just leaves you overwhelmed, if you can make it into the glowing safety, your foes will retreat. Most of these lights also have supply boxes where you can find more ammo and batteries. Alan Wake features 2 major sets of collectibles. One is coffee thermoses, not sure if that's just to push the cup of coffee thing from Twin Peaks, and the second, which is much more substantial, are manuscript pages. Now, without going too far into spoiler territory, these pages can be found spread across the 6 episodes that tell the story of the game while it's occurring, often giving other characters thoughts and actions while things are happening. It's one of the few times in games where I remember feeling bad about not picking up a readable piece of material as a collectible. This went further than your usual audio log in a game, sometimes adding to the suspense by cryptically telling you what's going to happen next. Now, being in a remote mountain town, the game's environments do what they can to vary from level to level, but you can expect to traverse a lot of dark forests and a lot of dark mountain trails. You do actually get the perception that you're traveling from place to place around the town, though, complete with the usual horror game, oh no, something just fell and blocked the way, now we have to go around the back way where it's even darker and scarier, as well as facing to protect someone while they're opening a door or waiting for that slow-moving elevator. The way the fog moves through the trees, though, and those mountain peaks in the distance, it just really sets the tone for the game well. I will say I'm personally not a huge Stephen King fan, of which multiple references are made throughout the game, or a horror fan really in general, but I found Alan Wake's characterization through environment very entertaining. Levels often have distractions to take you off the beaten path in hopes of a treasure chest, with arrows painted in yellow paint only seen once your flashlight hits them, guiding the way. You also find TVs and radios, another piece that feels familiar from early Max Payne games, with a recurring show, Night Springs, a sort of Twilight Zone show you can find, as well as a nighttime radio program that often has things to say about the goings-on in the town. Environment very nearly becomes a character itself. Plot-wise, I will admit the game did seem a bit hokey to me at first, but as the episodes went on and new characters were introduced and manuscript pages were uncovered, the better it got. I will say it felt there are a few reactions that Alan had that seemed uncharacteristic of, well, the human being really. His willingness to punch NPCs seemed a bit feather-triggered, and that starkly contrasted to the fact that he can't melee enemies in combat. But I digress. There are a few pieces of DLC, including a couple extra episodes, and a whole other alternative universe pack, Alan Wake's American Nightmare, if the base 10 to 12 hour game isn't enough for you. Now, if you missed this game in the last console generation, I will tell you it still holds up fairly well today, especially if you long for that older style survival horror type game with limited ammo and tense environments. While this is a lot more walking and quite a bit less item gathering to fit into keyholes, it still has that vibe working for it. Overall, Alan Wake's story, told through more than just your character, the environments and setting, the often panicky shooting moments, the well-crafted plot that carries a lot of genre-troped action but still provides good tension, is a solid entry to Remedy's contribution to gaming, and it's easy to see how the even more TV-like Quantum Break was the next step in that evolution, trying to finish their catalog before Control hits. Rated as a survival horror game, Alan Wake nabs an 80 out of 100 on my 0 to 100 scale, where 50 is an average game. This is Gero for Umbra Games. Thanks for watching.